Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Monday, June 19th. We are here live. It is a free-for-all kind of day. Anything goes today. We're here on the app all morning, or as long as you've got questions. We're going to open the phone lines right now, so go ahead and start dialing. 855-950-3835. We've got no theme today. We have no guest. Really all about you and whatever's on your mind. So jump in and join us. A couple things I've been focusing on lately. One weird thing, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I just noticed a couple other things. We've been fighting a lot with technology lately, which is kind of expected because we're testing a lot of new things and trying things, and some things are going to work and some aren't. And I want to do as much testing as I can and figure out the best way to do this. But I've also been watching a lot of what's going on with like the Earth and the sun. We've had a lot of unusual activity in the sun over the last couple of months. The North Pole has been wandering all over the place, and we're getting some weird energy readings from the Earth all of a sudden, like things we've never seen before. So just some weird stuff going on, and that can have an impact on communications and technology. Most of my problems are not caused by the Earth and the sun, but it's just kind of odd that that's going on as well. We also had a big cyber attack worldwide. Lots of governments were hit. Some of the bigger sites were down for a while. Just something I'm keeping an eye on. The other thing I've been working on, and we've got some calls coming in, so I'm going to get to them here. It's time to start watching for opportunities. We're testing a bottom in both the economy and in the trucking market and rates. Usually when you get to a bottom, it's never clear. Many times you'll actually start to bounce up off that bottom and it looks like a rally. Sometimes we call that a dead cat bounce. You get one big bounce and then it kind of stops, settles on the bottom again. It looks like most of the patterns we're seeing is an economy that is searching for the bottom. Once we find it, then the question is, how long is it going to last? On average, they're about 18 months. This one may be longer because the run-up was significantly longer than normal. A lot of weird stuff going on with government spending. They still want to throw a gazillion dollars at all this crazy green technology. That's going to be a problem. So it's hard to say, but things have changed. You know, when we were at the top and I kept saying at some point, this is going to come crashing down. The party's going to be over. I think it's pretty clear the party's over. So this is the time that I shift strategies. You know, when you're at the top, the best thing to do is just get out there and make money. Make hay when the sun shines. Now that we're at the bottom, it's time to start looking for opportunities and getting prepared. What is it that you want to see happen at the bottom? For example, for me, we're not really making any significant changes to our business because of this. It's staying the same. We're fine. What I am looking at, those personal finance and real estate. We've been saving cash, waiting for some opportunities because the last 4 or 5 years were not really good buying opportunities in real estate. Prices were constantly going up. Now I expect that they'll come down. So they're not down yet. I'm not ready to buy anything, but I'm spending a lot of time researching real estate, watching prices so I understand what the pattern is. If you're thinking about becoming an owner-operator, you should be watching the patterns. If you're thinking about getting your own authority, you should be paying attention. It's not time to move yet, but it's time to start planning to move. I started a series on social media about the 6 mistakes to avoid when becoming an owner-operator. Most people are surprised by them. It's not the typical stuff you would read, so I'll be continuing on that. I think I posted mistake number 4 today. So I may come back to that today, but the calls are starting to pile up. Jump in and join us, 855-950-3835. We're going to get started in Florida today. Tony, welcome.
Morning, Kevin. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Well, before I get started with my direct freight opportunity here that everybody's dying to hear about, this direct drive and underspeed and overspeed that everybody is talking about. I managed to catch the replay of Friday. I was in NASTIC, obviously, so
hold
I couldn't hear
hold
that.
on a second. I just want to correct something. We're not talking about underspeed or overspeed. Those could be interpreted very differently. We're talking about underdrive or overdrive. So we're talking about gearing that is either under direct, meaning it's a torque multiplier, or it's over direct, meaning it's a torque divider. But we're not really talking about speed here.
Correct. Thank you for that. Well, then Joel needs to quit saying under speed, or maybe I heard it wrong. The question is, do I need to be driving this thing in 12th? Because it's sounding like, probably 13th is my overdrive in this pack car, of course. But is the operating range, would I do better in the 12th, which is probably direct? And
so the answer to this question is not simple. No, it won't do it itself. The auto shifts aren't that smart yet. They're getting there with the smart cruise systems that use GPS, but we're not there yet. So no, it doesn't know itself, and there's no simple answer to this. When you ask that question, should I be? Then we have to go through the truck, the gears, the tires, the freight, the speed, the terrain, everything. This is a very dynamic situation. That's why what we were talking about, ideally today, we are able to spec trucks that can run in 3 different top gears. 1 underdrive, 1 direct drive, 1 overdrive. That's a lot of flexibility. It's been almost impossible for us to spec trucks like that before. 1, because of the engine architecture. 2, because we didn't have the transmissions available that we needed. So now we have lots of options, but more options also means more complication. When do you run in these gears? So we can talk about in general, and then we can get more specific by saying, do you have an instant read fuel mileage gauge in your truck somewhere, either a factory in the dash or the ScanGauge KR?
Well, the truck has one, but it's not going to be that accurate.
Well, wait, stop right there. Stop, because I have to correct something. Things change all the time. We tried not to get so locked into things here. I was the guy forever saying, don't pay attention to that stupid gauge on your dash. Don't pay attention to the ScanGauge, except for comparison and training yourself. I don't care if it's accurate or not. It'll teach us when we're getting better fuel economy, even if that number isn't completely accurate. Now, though, they have become much more accurate, and we can adjust them. So we can track our fuel mileage on paper, or even better with our app fuel gauges, get a real number, and then we can go in and adjust the dash. And these things are becoming far more accurate. Joel went over his numbers the other day, and his was so accurate, I was shocked, really shocked. So things change, technology changes. These gauges are accurate now, but they've always been accurate enough to teach us something. And that's what I'm getting to on this. So many variables, so many different options. We can talk about different driving strategies, but your best tool to learn this is experiment and watch that gauge. What works best? If you're on a level and you're cruising at 70 and you're in top gear, which is a one-step overdrive, well, drop it into direct and watch what happens. Your RPM will come up. What happens to the fuel mileage right then? That's the best tool imaginable. I can't possibly try to teach you how to, drive in every situation, but that's really what we're talking about.
Direct is going to be about 2,500 RPM on that one, though, because I'm at probably...
So all I'm telling you then...
in overdrive.
Yeah, so then obviously we wouldn't do that in your case, but the very next caller who calls me may be the exact opposite. He may be struggling along at 950 in top gear, and he needs to be in overdrive. So what I'm saying is there is no one answer to this.
Right, and I lied about the pack car. It actually has a pretty decent gauge here. It says the average, but then there's this meter where the average is at the top, and then it teeters above and below instantaneously as you press the gas. I really like that thing.
Yes.
And I keep it on there. I know I'm going to get piss poor gas mileage when I press the gas, so I don't even really need to look at it, but I lied. They do have a pretty decent gauge in this 15 PACCAR. So if I'm going 60, though, I technically might have 3 gears I could use at 60 because it's only going to be, that would be like 1,400 in direct and like 1,100 or 1,130 in overdrive. So that's what I'm asking now. So I'll look at it. I will look at that.
When you give me a specific scenario, I can usually give you the correct answer. When you say, where should I drive this? Well, it's going to be all over the place, so that's too hard to answer. If you're doing 60 and your choice is 11 something or 14 something, then I'm going to tell you most of the time you're going to be far better off at 11 for fuel economy. What would be a reason not to? Well, sometimes at that point, depending, and this engine may be one, at 1100 with the stiff headwind, that thing may fall flat. It may not run well at that. And another truck may run just fine there. Everybody's torque curves are different. There's just so many variables. But we can make some general statements. The lower we can keep the RPM without the truck struggling, the better fuel economy we're probably going to get.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and most of all the old school truck drivers are going to say that you want to keep the RPM low, but I'm following this new theology that you guys are saying where that's not necessarily the case. Boost pressure, and with getting a Volvo where you can go 70 miles an hour with, and all of the RPMs in those 3 gears are going to be pretty equal. There's more to look at. And that's the way to go is to have, be able to go really fast, not just 60 miles an hour and split the gears, but higher speeds, which is what we need, and still have, RPMs low or high or flat.
Now, let's be clear about something. Let's be clear about something. We can now spec these trucks to run from sometimes 55 fuel efficiently all the way up to about 75 fuel efficiently. It's a big range. We weren't able to do that before. But here's what we have to remember. You will never, ever get better fuel economy at 70 than you do at 60 or 55 or 65. It doesn't work that way. So when we say we can get good fuel economy at 70, what we're talking about is we just geared this thing right. So if we have to drive 70, we can get better fuel economy than we used to. But we're not saying you get better fuel economy at 70 than at 60. It's not possible. It's physics. What we're saying now is we've spec'd a truck that will get the maximum fuel mileage you're going to get at about 55. But we can go up to 70 or 70 plus and still do well. Still do okay. Not the best we're going to get, though. I don't want anybody... I hear a lot of people start to get confused about that.
Yeah, and my stubborn way of thinking is always going to be that, well, with hours of service, you've got to try and maintain the speed limit as many times as you can.
No, you should stop thinking that way. Stop thinking that way. Stop thinking that way. Fuel mileage is not a game. It's your single biggest expense. It's not a game. This is a business strategy that makes total sense. It's your single biggest expense. So there should not be this attitude of I should always try to drive the speed limit or faster. No, it's the opposite. You should always be thinking about what speed really makes sense. Very seldom do I see a need to drive the speed limit or faster. I drive significant below the speed limit in the West.
Well, I'm not going to say anything like you're morally bankrupt or anything like that over this. By the way, I agree with those people, but I don't like the way they're talking. So there is a conscientious way of arguing. But here, yeah, I do disagree. But I'm open and I'm listening. I just happen to think that my time is valuable.
Well, so we can prove this if you want, if you're willing.
Time on the road.
It's not even that hard. Take a month and do what you've been doing. whatever speed you feel like driving, with the idea that the faster I drive, the more money I'm going to make. That's kind of what you're telling me. Do that for a month, and then do what I said for a month. Pick a really slow speed and drive, and then let's look at your net revenue at the end of the time frame. Your gross will be higher.
That's a really...
no doubt, but your growth. Here's the other thing you have to remember. Every time we save $1 in fuel or any expense, that dollar goes straight to our pocket. All of it, 100%. When we increase revenue by $1, 40 cents goes to your pocket. People forget about that. They do not understand how to do this equation.
Before you cut me off, I've agreed to do it your way. We've been through this. I've said that. Theoretically, I disagree with it, but I'm doing it anyway. I drove this truck up here 60 miles an hour, and I'm not going an ounce faster. Speed limit is 70 because I trust and I like going to the fuel pump and not paying as much as I was. I really not get off on that, but it feels good.
Yes.
You're right. So I'm trusting it. I just don't want to, and I don't like driving fast because someone's always going to be racing you anyway, no matter how fast you go. It's not safer, but it's more comfortable to do like they say and go slower. So I don't want to do the fast anymore.
Okay, good. And here's the other reason to do the numbers. Because, again, I'm not saying you should always drive 55 or 57. I did. I chose to just do it all the time. It was easier. And it worked really well for me. I was on scheduled runs that didn't matter anyway. So it made total sense for me to drive that way. If I were doing what Joel's doing today, out running around, running all kinds of freight, trying to prove fuel economy in all kinds of situations, I wouldn't be driving that one set speed. I would base my speed on the conditions, the rate of the load, the cost of fuel. Those things change dynamically every day. Now, would I ever exceed 70? Probably not. At 70 my speed range would probably be 55 to 70. And I would spend most of that time at 60 or under. But would there be times I would run 70? Yeah, if I had the truck spec to do it and it made sense, the rate was good, I knew once I got there I could get the load off, there would be no delay. This is a very, very nuanced topic. There are no simple answers.
For any of those people that are out there that are like me, that, oh, no, that's too slow. No, I'm going to make, 2 loads in that amount of time. I am with you, and you are right, but just keep listening. They know what they're talking about. I'm not discouraging you from doing that. I believe that's true, what you're saying. These people that can run 2 loads in that one amount of time, it takes Joel, 3 years to get there, blah, blah, blah. But, in the long run, there could be less maintenance costs. You're a lot more peaceful. Just look at all the variables, just like playing chess. You don't want to beat yourself, and you look at the opponent's threats first. You might be missing something. You might not be doing the what if.
Tony, you know what you just summarized for me? What I was talking about earlier. The reason when I go to help people make big business decisions, become an owner-operator, get their authority, whatever, I approach it first. Here are the mistakes you need to avoid. That's what you were just talking about. Don't beat yourself. Don't go into this and make a stupid mistake. Right. That's obvious. It happens all the time. Don't do this. That's step number 1.
And what they don't know, most people don't know that you've made any mistakes.
Correct.
I do.
Yeah. Don't make the mistakes, though. We can learn from other people. Our best learning tool is experience. But experience hurts, and experience can be expensive. So we should try to learn as much as possible from other people. That's what I do when I highlight these mistakes. These are mistakes I've seen people make over and over and over in business, and it hurts. So let's start there. Let's avoid the mistakes first. Let's not beat ourselves. Let's go to Ohio. Herschel, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin.
What's on your mind today?
Well, in the beginning, I need you to reach up by your left ear and turn that switch for rolling resistance off.
Okay.
Turn it off for a second. This truck has low profile 22.5. I do not know the exact, 285, 75.
That's okay.
I'd have to get out and look. It is the 13 BGT 12-speed overdrive auto shift 264 rear end. As you know, these containers that I drag around are the worst black brown rubber things. That's all I'm going to call them because I'm afraid to say the word.
I know.
So, yeah, when I go down to West Virginia with my loaded box, it's 20-footer on a tandem chassis, and it's 42,000. So I don't want to go real fast. So I go 55 all the time because less speed, less heat, less chance of a problem.
Yes.
But at 55 miles an hour, this thing will stay in 11th gear all by itself, which is direct, and it is at 1,250 on the tack. How much difference between the Low Pro 22.5 and the 11R 22.5 would there be in RPM?
About 50. Depending on, again, which size you had, we could run some calculations, but it's roughly going to be 50.
Okay, because I'm curious, because at 55, if I lose 50, 75 RPM, would that be a little bit better economy-wise? Then
No.
you got to turn your rolling resistance
Right.
switch back on, because are you losing it because of 11R against Low Pro?
So this is the same type of argument we make when we've changed our mind about direct drive over the years. For a long time,
Exactly.
we were you've got to drive in direct drive because we don't want to lose that 3% when we go to overdrive. Well, then they came out with new transmissions, and you don't lose 3% anymore. You lose maybe 1%. And that now it makes sense to start looking at running in overdrive, which is more and more of what we're talking about. In some cases, not all cases. This is the same thing. You are in an operation where you're more local, you're 55, where rolling resistance actually starts to become more important, not less. Aerodynamics become less important the slower we go. Rolling resistance becomes more important. Somewhere around 50 to 55, somewhere in there, the claims that I've read is that aerodynamics goes from number 1 factor for fuel economy to number 2. And rolling resistance goes from number 2 to number 1, somewhere right around the speeds you're talking about.
Interesting.
Right. So, do we know what would happen if we went to an 11R? Not for sure. Maybe nothing. It might be a wash. It might be too small of a change in either direction to even know.
Okay. I'm just curious because I thought, well, it's when I'm empty coming back.
If the
last week I did play around.
Let me answer this. If the goal is to try to get better fuel economy, thinking the 11R might do it, if that's the goal, then I would say no, don't. If there was some other reason, these idiots keep dropping these damn containers so low that I'm killing myself trying to crank them up high enough to get under them, and you want a little more height, I would actually say build up your fifth wheel. But if there was some other reason you thought the 11R was going to be better, other than economy, well, we could talk about it, and maybe it would make sense. If it's economy, don't bother. It's too small of a change, might not even be a positive change. We don't know for sure. And low Pro 22.5s are still the most popular tires. So you have better luck getting them, getting the model you want. You get more credit when you turn them in. There's other factors here.
Okay. I did ask Mike Beckett last week about drive tires that do not pick up so many rocks and then chuck them at the back of your cab as you're driving. And I know that an all position, which a lot of people call a steer, doesn't pick them up as much. Have you ever been able to quantify the difference in wear rating of a closed shoulder drive against an all position tire? I know they're born with about 19 against 30 to 32.
Correct.
As far as the 30 seconds of tread. I know that, but do the straight tread wear better?
Yes.
So it's not quite as bad?
Yes. In fact, if you measure the wear of your tire, when it's brand new, it wears the fastest. As it wears down,
Sure.
the wear slows down. So you take those tall 1-inch lugs, or darn near 1-inch lugs, and they wiggle like crazy. Hey, don't you feel it? When you get a new set of those big, tall lugs, I swear I can feel it squirming around on the road. That's how much those things flex.
You know, I've heard guys say that for years, and maybe my butt's numb or something. I just never really noticed.
Yeah,
it that much.
I feel it squirm like crazy with the new set of lugs on. And all that squirming is lost energy and wear.
Sure.
For
But
me,
the rolling resistance of the straight tread is going to be that much better with the lug. So are you going to do a little better economy-wise with the all-position tire also?
Sometimes you're going to do significantly better with the all-position tire, depending on what tire you're comparing it to. Take an all-position at 102 or 103, which is pretty common, and some of the lugs are 140. You're going to get a half mile per gallon
really?
better. Yes.
Man, I wish Michelin would. I know you was in on that, but man, I wish they'd have left it to look at it two ways instead of the comparison. Because when I do the comparison, it blows my mind. What does that even mean? I really wish they had the real number that you could look at the way it used to be.
I will say I argued to leave the real number there, and they thought it would be more confusing. I wanted both.
Oh, man.
I wanted both, and I argued for both. They thought it would be more confusing.
I can look at a Bridgestone 760 EL. It's a 138. I can look at a Goodyear's all-position tire, and it's 102. Delbert, right. 102, 138. That's easy to see.
Right.
It's a comparison because they got that daggone arrow, and then it's green or it's red, and I don't know which one means what. It confuses the snot out of me.
I can tell you, up until wide singles came on the market, I ran exclusively all-position tires in all positions. Did it for years and loved it. The only reason I switched was wide singles.
I need to call Jackie. She runs those straight treads. She could tell me what kind of life she gets out of them.
Yep. Here's the thing I found. I could not test the cost to come up with an accurate number. It takes too long to wear out the tires. By the time you wear out a set of tires, tire prices have changed. That model doesn't exist anymore. That's the problem I ran into trying to test this for pure cost. It takes too long to wear out a set.
Per 30 seconds.
Right.
The cents per 30 seconds you can't do because the last set you got them for $268 a tire, and now they're $375.
Or the model doesn't even exist anymore. That happens too. So over the years, I just decided, look, it's impossible. I can't test these things for cost. So if it's that close that I can't even test it, I stopped worrying about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did order testing kit from Dr. Jack.
Oh, good.
Because everything that's been going on, they do have a conference call that you do with one of their people.
Yeah.
And the girl suggested the level 2 kit, which gives you the cardiac panel and a bunch of other stuff. So that should be here sometime this week. So I might have some interesting news for you on a health day when all that comes back in a month or so.
Yeah, definitely call with that. We'll go over it all.
All right, Kevin. I'll let you go, bud.
Maybe we'll even give me enough time, and maybe I'll get Dr. Wolfson to come on and go over it with us.
That'd be cool. Okay,
yeah.
I'll send it to you by way of email.
Sounds
good. Support
good.
at Let's Truck.
Yep, that'll work.
Okay. All right, bud.
All right.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
All right, Kevin.
Let's go to Ohio. Joe, welcome to the program.
I really need to chase Herschel down on the trucking tribe. He's like 45 minutes from my shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's working for Evans there on the east side of Columbus, and I'm out between Columbus and Buckeye Lake.
Oh, okay. I know where you are.
So we talked a few months ago with Bruce about my getting the 264s for my Volvo. I run the same lane day in and day out, southeastern Ohio, northern West Virginia. So I've got a set of 264 sitting on the pallet. I just have to go get them. So last week I used 1,072 gallons, or I drove 1,072 miles, used 176 gallons for 6.1 miles a gallon.
Wait.
Spent $612.
Wait. Give me how many miles?
1,072.
And how many gallons?
107.
Oh, you keep breaking up right when you're saying the gallons, and I think I'm just hearing it wrong. Say it again.
176.
Oh, 176. Okay. At first I thought I heard like 107, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's 10 miles to the gallon. So no, you're right. Okay, go ahead.
So that got me at 6.17. And if the 264s are correct 1 mile an hour or 1 mile per gallon upgrade,
Who said that?
means I could get away.
Wait.
That
Whoever claimed that a gear ratio change would give you a mile per gallon?
is maybe I misunderstood.
Well, I'm not saying somebody.
I swear to God, I thought Bruce.
I'm not saying he
I thought Bruce
didn't
said
say
a mile a
it.
gallon.
If I would have heard him say that, I would have questioned him. I've never heard Bruce say
Okay.
that. Bruce typically talks about 3 to 5 tenths, and sometimes we can't get that. Sometimes you'll hear me tell people, no, I don't think you should change gear ratios. There's not enough savings here. I've never seen a gear ratio make a mile per gallon difference ever.
Well, then my difference of $78 a week in fuel may or may not validate.
No,
But,
do not
I do the same-
budget this on a 1 mile per gallon difference. I think budgeting on a half mile per gallon difference is better and might still be a little high.
Okay, because I mean they're set as the price. The price is right. I told him I was like,
What
put
gear
a salt sticker on them. I will come get them Friday.
what gear ratio do you have right now?
10 speed with a 390.
Ooh, what year is this thing?
02
Oh, what engine?
Detroit.
Okay. So how fast are you driving most of the time?
Right now, because of the hills here in southeast Ohio, I am running 1580 on the tack at 65 miles an hour. Because the downshift from 10th to 9th, I'd be at 52.
Yeah, the 10
So I'm actually running faster than I want to because of the 10 speed's killing me.
Right. The 10 speed is a little difficult in this operation with 390s. Unless I can tell you, 390s with the Volvo and a Detroit, that's the last truck I sold. Mine was a 99 Volvo with the Detroit and 390s. And at
I do the tandem, or I do the spread axle dump, no arrows. We've talked about this a little bit in the past. I don't have the aerodynamic ability to save any fuel economy in that sense.
in what sense?
Yeah.
The worse your aerodynamics are, the
I
more
don't-
important slowing down becomes.
Right, and we've talked about that. But like I said, with the rolling hills of Southern Ohio, 80,000, I would be in ninth gear at 1,800 RPM at 52 almost every pull if I tried to run 57 miles an hour. I don't have no side skirts. I don't have no fairing on the top.
Forget the aerodynamics.
Spread
Let's,
axle
let's stop talking about the aerodynamics. They're meaningless. You don't have them. We're not going to get them, so I don't want to spend any time on them. The numbers I'm hearing from you aren't making sense. Oh, wait a minute. Because of the 10 speed, we've got 2 drops all the way down to 9th. That's what's going on here. It's been so a long time since I've worked with a 10 speed like this. You are correct. So the 264s, had I...
65 would be 1,400 RPM.
Yeah, which is fine. It's a great place to run that engine, especially when we need a little more horsepower. When we're really torque and horsepower are slightly better on that engine, around 1,400, and that's what you need because you're heavy and we've got all these short pulls.
And Bruce has got it. Bruce has got it tuned to 650. I have everything but his manifold. I have the big turbo. I have the fast fuel. I have the OPS. I have the fleet. I just haven't gotten the manifold yet because when I'm ready to spend the money, it's out of stock, or I forget about it for a while because everything's going great.
Yeah. No, and all that horsepower and torque helps. The tune really helps that thing. 264s are probably just about ideal for this, but I'm going to predict 4 or 5 tenths as a gain. I wouldn't budget on anything more than that.
But for $1,000 gear swap, that's worth every penny.
Absolutely. No doubt. Yeah. This is one that I would definitely say change the gears.
Okay, because basically in my head, I knew it was the right thing. Listening to Bruce and the guys that done it, I know it's the right thing. Maybe I was looking for validation
Yeah, and
I mean, I know it's the right thing to do.
it is the right thing to do. And I don't always say that about gear changes. In the last couple of years, I've been very careful about gear changes because it got so expensive. And I don't want people to hear that and just run out and spend $6,000 or $7,000 to change gears and never be able to make that money back. In your case, though, it's kind of a slam dunk. You got a great price on them. Overall cost isn't going to be that much, and this is a really good change based on what you're doing.
Is we spoke a couple months ago with Bruce on the Power Hour, and I actually had a full cutoff, disc brakes, super singles, everything, but I didn't get down there quick enough to lock it in. Someone got down there before me. But I was down there Saturday picking up other items for another truck that's sitting in the shop, and I seen them sitting on the pallet. I said, what are these for? He's like, I'm getting ready to put them on the website. He's like, I can't get no one to buy them. I was like, no, I want them.
Perfect.
I was like, he's like, how much? $1,000. I was like, I got 500 here. I was like, can you hold them until Saturday? I come down and get them in the pickup. He's like, yeah, I'll hold them. So I'm going to go get them Saturday, either Friday morning or Saturday morning.
Perfect.
All right. Well, in that case, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Let's roll on into the next call in California. Jerry, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. I want to give a shout out to Herschel first. I guess I heard his call about not being able to take a vacation, and I want him to know he's not alone. And I did read the other day that, a 72-hour hold in a psych ward is looking like a pretty good vacation to me.
Sounds kind of relaxing, doesn't it?
He does, yeah. That's not what I called about, but since he was on, I thought I'd give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Last week you were talking about truck nomenclature, and I have absolutely no clue if it's as simple or not. But you were asking what the D in FLD stood for. You were talking to Joel about the nomenclature on the Volvos, and you had Jackie on there and wondered what the D stood for. And I have no idea if it's that simple or not, but I owned some trucks of the vintage right before the FLDs came out, and they were designated FLC.
That was a cab over,
could it be that simple that they were just... No, they were conventional.
Oh, were they?
No, they were FLCs. They were conventional, the predecessor to the FLDs that came out. But I just wondered if it was that simple. They were just going up the alphabet. They had a C, and then they had an FLD.
It could have been. I mean, these numbers and letters, and they're in a lot of model numbers of components, and the model number usually tells us a lot of information if you understand how they did it. For example, in transmissions with both Eaton and Spicer, maybe everybody else, I'm not sure, if there was an O in that model number, it was an overdrive. If there was no O, it was a direct drive. And all those other numbers meant, told you how many gears, told you all kinds of stuff. So somebody, when we were having the conversation, said the C designation was for cab over, and I believed them, but now I believe you. It
definitely wasn't.
Right,
it was,
yeah.
But if you went in and got parts, it was designated as an FLC. I don't know. Hell, I'd probably remember some of the VIN numbers, but anyway, those old square nose conventional Freightliner tractors, the immediate predecessor to the FLDs, were designated as FLCs. So that's all. I just thought I'd follow through on that and didn't know if it was that simple or not.
It could be. You might be onto something.
All right, that's it.
All right, thanks for the call. Yeah, it's. I don't know why I've never bothered to learn those in trucking. I probably know more cars like that than I do trucks. Like I said, the Europeans had the best method of naming their vehicles. The name told you something, told you several things, told you the body style, the engine, whether it was two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive many times, all in what they would call the model number, like a BMW, like a 330iX. That tells you a couple things. The body style is the 3 Series, the engine is a 3.0 liter, and it's four-wheel drive. All from the name. And instead, we call something a Maverick. Yeah, well, that helps a lot. Let's go to Mississippi. Phone lines are open, by the way. We blew through the calls we had this morning, and there aren't any more coming in. You guys might give me an easy day today. Let's go to Mississippi. Mark, welcome.
Hey, Kevin. Tried to call on Friday, but y'all were long-winded, and I had to go visit a customer and take them like a bunch of pies and through some customer relations. So anyway, I got an oil sample there, and then I have a couple things I want to cover. So I don't know which one you want to get to first.
Well, let's do the oil sample first. Other than your base that they flagged at a level 2, which you've still got plenty of base there, I wouldn't be worried about that base at all. I mean, this really, in my opinion, I'm going to guess that you're using the catalyst.
Of course, yes. Catalyst, it's car hauler using. I mean, you may or may not remember.
Oh, yeah. So
BD13.
Yeah, so we've got high iron that they would flag at a level 1, the low base at a level 2. Honestly, I look at this sample, it's a 0. There's nothing in this sample to be concerned about at all.
Okay. I just wanted to, I normally just get Pittsburgh Power, but I've never had you look at it, so I was just like, you're kind of like the other doctor here. So anyway,
you know, one thing I do notice that's actually a little odd.
It is not like that, because that seems to be one of the biggest problems for people out here is they don't run the numbers and look at the numbers and drill down in their costs and all like that. They actually know what they're doing. And that, and then you get people on here that don't understand customer relations and building relationships. It's just, that's what I did on Friday. I was like, I ended up having like some issues. I ran over something at a customer site last week and had to get a road call out to get a Sear tire. So I bought, so the week kind of ended short, and some other weather delays. But so I spent the time Friday to go to my main customer and just, and they're like, "What are you doing? Why are you bringing this?" I said, "Because you're good to me, and I appreciate it." And well, you're good to me. You're good to us. I'm like, well, I know it's a two-way street, but it's like how much I appreciate, what. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I for some reason, I'm not positive that I'm taking this topic I'm about to talk about from the right book, but I think I am. I think it's somewhere in the 7 Habits, but I'm trying to remember where.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I never got through that book, and I really need to, because once I read, later in life, how to win friends and influence people, I just pretty much put those principles to work, which is probably in the same book. So
here's a principle, and I believe he talked about this in the 7 Habits. It's called the emotional bank account. So it's the idea of every interaction we have with other people, we should look at it as an interaction with our money. So when we have money in our hand, we could either go spend it, right? And a lot of times we spend it on stuff we don't really need, which is fine, or we could put it in the bank. And if we put it in the bank, then we have some when we need it, right?
Correct.
And I'm a big believer in we should save. I've been talking about it for a long time, especially when tough times are coming, you should save even more. So this idea is that what you just did, you went above and beyond, and they even commented, hey, look, we really appreciate you. It almost like telling you don't need to do that. But by doing it, you have just put a check mark in your emotional savings account. And this is going to sound wrong, but this is how human nature works. They kind of owe you one. And they feel that, and they know that. And we want partners that get that. Some people don't. Some people will just keep taking advantage of your generosity. And they will. But it's easy to identify that, and then you just move on. But once we've developed a relationship, the more we do that's positive in that relationship, the more we build up our emotional bank account. We've got credit in there now. Even so much that if you are constantly just borderline and screwing up a little bit all the time, you've met people like that, right?
Correct, yes.
If they have a big screw up, you want to get rid of them, right? It's like, look, I've been putting up with this little crap all the time, and now we've had this big issue. I'd be better off without this person. When you build up your emotional bank account, though, and you've got a nice big savings there, you can screw up a lot, and people will forgive it.
Yeah, I've seen that. I mean,
and I'm not saying we should screw up,
see that with
but
salesmen.
it's nice to have that insurance, right?
Yeah, and so I went in there, and it's like, he was surprised, and I said, I got some things for you. And so he took me around, and we actually, it was almost like Santa Claus. We handed them to the president of the company, the one that's the liaison between this company and the guy that owns the whole. There's a lot more companies. So there's the guy that owns this company is a billionaire, and he owns a lot of companies and in the auto industry and other industries and all like that. So it's like we didn't get to the billionaire. He didn't work in that office, but we made the rounds, human resources, the dispatcher, and then the guy that plans all the loads I do. He goes, I've seen your name a lot. You do this. I said, yeah. He goes, well, we appreciate it. I said, I don't care how many stops you give me, because people complain in car hauling about how many stops they get. And I said, to quote Paul, the most stops I can do is 10. So, and I told them that, and because it's like, and they asked me what I wanted to do. I said, you know what? I told the guy I talked to all the time. I said, I don't care, whatever you need me to do. I said, I am. It doesn't matter to me. Y'all are good to me.
Right.
And it's like you build these relationships, and it comes back to you, and it's like I said, I told you one time before, I don't even feel like I work out here. I mean, I've sat in an office. My life was office space at one point. I sit out here. To me, this isn't even work. I mean, I look forward to doing this every day. It's like I just, people ask, why do you do that so much? I'm like, well, I don't feel like work. It's just, it's not work to me. And and all of a sudden, here's the money, and it's like I'm on a pace now. I figured out my numbers at the end of last month. I'm on a pace to do 410 this year. So. Whether it maintains it or not, I don't know. But, it's like I looked at my bank account, in business bank account the other day, and I had over $100,000. I mean, I've never had that before.
Isn't that awesome? I know. But just
it is.
This stuff works.
It's like, and I still worry about it. So, but it's like, I mean, and I always take the approach is you're only as good as your last load.
Yeah.
It's like you're not. I mean, you can be perfect all along. It's like you're only as good as what. Like you look in sports, what do people remember Bill Buckner for? He dropped the ball in the World Series that allowed the other team to win. It's like you're only as good as your last play.
Yeah, you're right.
You're only as good as your last load, and when you screw up, and then when you screw up, and you will screw up, you just admit it. You pay whatever it costs to unscrew that, and you go on.
Yep.
I mean, I was doing a load at a manufacturing complex a couple of weeks ago, and a driver from another company come over and asked for help, and I gave a little help. Don't normally like to, he wanted to push it in there because he had an oil leak, and he asked me how to use something. I said, I don't know, I've never done that. And before long, he tried to fix it, and he made the problem so bad that he vaporized basically aerosol hydraulic oil. It covered me, my cars, my truck. He left a pool there. I called my contact with this company. I took pictures of his crap. He got all pissed off. I have worked with that other company before. I called one of the dispatchers there and sent them all the pictures and said, this is what happened. And the guy left. And it's like he got banned from that plant. And he will never be able to do, and that company will, before they do work with the other company, they're going to be questioned because of one person's actions. And it's like, you just, things happen. It's business.
Yep.
It's car hauling. It's, it's high risk, high reward, whatever. It's like, you do the best you can. And just if you make a mistake, you own up to it. And you're honest with your customers, and they appreciate that more than if you you're not. But like I said, I don't feel like I work out here. And it's like, that was the biggest thing. And it's like, I was getting to know Paul, listen to you, all the people. I sound like a race car driver now. Pittsburgh Power, David Count, MD Alignment. It all works.
It does.
And sometimes you have to drive faster than others. But if you use somebody was talking about fuel mileage and about what the truck says, just use your app. Just use your app. It's right there. It's free. You use your app. Every time I fuel, put the numbers in there, get it off, get the cost off NASTC, put it in there, track my fuel, track my DEF, and we go on. And you can see where you're at, know what your costs are. And it's like, it's not hard. And it's, and people say, well, I know somebody that was like, well, I don't trust oil samples. And I ask why, and they can't answer. Because I know what I'm doing. And it's like, no, you really don't. and it's like I oil sample every time I use the products,
Yep.
and people don't want to know. It's almost like, when you talk to them about health, it's like they want to, like an ostrich, they want to stick their head in the ground. And,
Yeah.
I don't get it, so.
I don't either.
But I appreciate everything, and the system works. If the process you set forward, it works, and it just does. And if you just build relationships, and I was listening to John Forrest's interview. He's a drag racer, and he didn't win a race for 8 years when he first started. No, 8 years.
8
and
years.
It's like 7 years. It took me. Yeah, it took me almost 8 years to get where I did last year.
There you go.
And because then it took off. Like I said, I changed my business. Like in the first 8 years, I changed it 10 times.
Right.
And
Right.
people are scared to change. People are scared to change. I don't want to change. Why
that's
not?
truth
It
right
doesn't
there.
work. You have to change.
That hurts a lot of people. You're right.
You have to change.
Yep. Good point.
Yeah. You have to change. You have to know see what's going. If it's not working, you just can't pound it into. You can't pound a square peg into a round hole, no matter how hard you beat it. And if it's not working, you got to figure out why it's not working and make a change, make adjustments. And I went through 3 different types of trucks, so several different types of equipment. I went from doing personal owned vehicles, auction freight, and I'm doing contract freight now. But it took
So let me tell you something.
to figure this out.
Can I give you a piece of advice?
I'm here, ain't I?
Yeah.
Of course.
Go back to the 7 habits. You're ready for it now. You weren't ready for it before.
I will.
Yep. Go back to it.
Yeah.
It'll help.
I will. I promise you.
Yep.
I got a lot of credits because I have an account with Audible. I got like a bunch of credits in there. They always like, you need to buy a book. I'm like, okay. So
get the 7 habits and
book just to,
call me and we'll talk about it.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right.
But anyway, I appreciate it. So, and like I said, you got to know your numbers and you got to build relationships, and it doesn't happen overnight. People want this to happen overnight. It doesn't. I told somebody last night. I'll leave you with this: you got to stop thinking like a driver and think like a business owner, because this is a business. Driving's just part of the business.
That's a very good point. And the fact that it doesn't happen overnight takes years. And it gets better and better and better all the time if you keep working at it. I like the idea of CANI, C-A-N-I, CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. That's what it stands for. And things will continue to get better. We keep dropping calls. I'm not sure what's going on, but we've got one here. If you want to jump in, 855-950-3835. We're going to go to West Virginia this time. David, welcome.
Hello, Kevin. I sent you an oil sample.
Let me take a look and see what we've got here. So we've got an MX-13. What year is it?
It's 2014.
All right. We've got coming up on about 1 million miles, 900 and some. Is that correct?
Yeah, 900. Right now I got 933, 930.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
it's getting pretty close.
Yeah, so 34,000 or so on the oil itself. Let's see. We've got some wear metals. Nothing. Are you using Catalyst?
Yeah, I do use a Catalyst, and the last oil sample, which was the first one I did on this truck, you kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I ended
wait
up
a minute.
having the oil pan pulled off and the rods and mains changing. Okay.
You changed rods and mains?
Yeah, rods and mains have been changed. I changed them right before this oil was put in.
Did they really need it when you got them out?
No, they actually didn't need it, but the mechanic that did it for me, it took him like 10 hours to get the oil pan off because it's glued on there. And so I just told him, since I already had the labor into it, I already had bought the bearings, so we just went ahead and put them in there. That way I didn't have to worry about the bottom end.
Okay.
But he said, no, technically they did not need to be replaced. But my problem was the first oil sample I took, I wasn't thinking, and I drained it out of the oil pan when the oil was cold. So it kind of messed that sample up, give us a bunch of weird stuff. And then you scared me because I wasn't thinking about it when I talked to you, that it was cold when I took the sample. And so I kind of got a little scared there and just went ahead and done it.
Okay, so now what I'm seeing on this sample, so they just did that repair, right?
Yeah, that was
okay. So
right around first of the year, yeah.
Let's see, that was the first of the year. We took this sample in
the
May. So
the 34,000, whatever this oil sample has on it, that's the oil.
Got it.
When they put the oil pan back on, this is the sample from that work.
That's what I'm looking for, because your silicon's at 30. That's really high. That would be a problem, except it's because they were in the engine. So I would change this oil now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Okay.
I would change the oil because we've got to get that number down.
I thought, but I just wanted to check.
Yeah, it's probably not dirt. It's probably gasket sealers and all kinds of other weird stuff when we start taking engines apart. We do get a little dirt in there, but we need to get that number down so we can start monitoring it again. Otherwise, we're always going to be confused.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That was what came to my mind, but I'm new to the whole oil sample thing. This is the only second one I've ever done, so I still don't know exactly what I'm looking at. So
all you got to do is call.
I wanted your opinion.
Perfect.
Yeah, I just wanted your opinion to make sure that I was doing the right thing.
Yep, you're all set. And soon as you get that changed out, then I would set your schedule to sample again at 25,000. Let's take a look and see if we get that number down. If this were an ISX, I would predict we wouldn't be able to get it under 10. They seem to hold so much oil that sometimes when you get high numbers on the ISX, it's hard to get them down. It takes a while. We really, really want to get that number under 10. So change it, check it at 25,000, and let's see what happens. All right, I'll hang out here for another minute or two, but we're out of calls. Might just be a nice, easy Monday. I was kind of tired today anyway. But if you want to jump in, if you've got a question, a comment, a topic, I'll give you a couple minutes to jump in here. 855-950-3835. So real quick, going through the series that I'm doing on mistakes to avoid when getting started as an owner-operator. There are 6 of them. I've posted 4 so far, and the mistakes are actually pretty simple stuff, but people are shocked sometimes when I tell them some of these. The first one, people think, what, really? The first mistake, and I see this over and over and over, is asking for advice and listening to family and friends or whoever you're asking advice from. Now, a lot of people think when they first start reading this or I talk about it that I'm saying don't ask for advice. I'm not. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. You should be asking more people for advice, but you need to get better at asking and you need to get better at understanding. That's what I'm trying to get across. Why is it not good to listen to advice from family and friends? Well, first off, I watch people that take advice from family and friends when their family and friends have zero experience in what they're asking about. And somehow we still think that's good advice because I guess it's our family and friends. Then somebody will say, oh, no, but the guy I asked, my friend, has got 36 years as an owner-operator. Successful. Okay. That could be a problem. I'm not saying it is. It could be. You have to be careful. There's a whole book I read about this topic, that sometimes people who have done something really well for a long time are very bad at explaining how to do it. Sometimes they just don't explain very often. They're not good at simplifying things, or the opposite. They oversimplify it because they have forgotten that some of those early concepts can be complicated if you don't know them and you haven't done this. So even somebody who's been very successful at what you are trying to do may not be good at giving advice. You have to be able to determine that. There are other, and this is, when I was writing this, when I was thinking about this years and years ago, I wrote these mistakes a long time ago. I'm updating them now. But one of the things you should get good at, this is when I developed this idea of asking the question why and why not. Here's just a simple example. And I've seen examples like this happen so many times. Somebody will say, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a truck. And somebody else pops up and says, oh, never buy this kind of truck, some brand. Just put any brand you want in there. Never buy this. And then that's it. That's all they say. And the person asking for the advice doesn't really ask and follow up. Well, ask why. Here's some of the simple answers I've gotten. Oh, well, they're too heavy. Too heavy for what? I don't care about weight in my operation. But see, they didn't bother to explain that. Something that simple. I see this over and over and over. So get better at asking questions. Holy cow. I just asked for some phone calls and the lines lit up. Guess I better go take some of these. Be here all day now. Let's go to Florida. Pat, welcome.
Hi, Kevin. This is Pat. I just wanted to update you on my girl's dizziness for the BPPV and oxalates. She was pretty clean for 2 weeks in cutting back and taking some berberine.
Okay.
Didn't have any problems. And then she found a sale over at Walmart on spinach, and she started eating too much spinach again.
Oh, boy.
So it's just a question of managing because she had 3 episodes since then. Just a question of managing how much oxalates you take in and try to eliminate them slowly.
I'm glad she ate the spinach, actually. She kind of proved what we were looking at.
Yeah.
I think that's
the one topic. The other topic is I sent you a publication from Dr. Paul Marik. Are you familiar with that doctor?
Boy, the name sounds familiar, but I'm not placing it right now.
He's one of the founding people of the frontline COVID care, critical care people.
Oh, okay.
And he's sort of a genius in my mind. Anyway, he has a list of repurposed drugs that are helpful for cancer cures. And I might point your attention to number 7, which is mebendazole. And mebendazole is an anti-worming drug. It's sort of like ivermectin is to COVID, mebendazole is to cancer. So if you want to do some research and look at that, and that Dr. Marik, if you could get him, he'd probably be a great guy to get on Destination Health for an interview.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. I really haven't. I'm familiar with him, but I really haven't looked through a lot of his stuff. I think I will, though.
I know one story of his that's on the YouTube from 2017. Basically, the guy remembers all this research from his many years, and he puts together something that seems to work, and he cured sepsis in the hospital environment.
Yeah, interesting.
Of course, they don't want you to know about it because you don't make any money on his cure.
Well, that's
the same thing with these.
Yeah, that always seems to be the case.
And that's the same thing with these cure cancer drugs. This mebendazole looks really interesting. And have you heard of the other guy, Dr. Mobeen Syed, Dr. Bean?
No, I haven't heard of him at all.
Okay, he does YouTube videos, basically talking about how the process of things take place in the body, drugs or cancers, and originally he got canceled with everybody else when he talked about how ivermectin works to cure COVID. So these are some of the leading guys that are coming up with answers to how do we treat things without doing the 3 things you don't like that doctors do: cut you, poison you, or what's the other one?
Oh, let's see. So poison, cutting.
They either cut you, poison you, or irradiate you.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't want you to know about these other cheap cures. This mebendazole, you can still get it overseas in a powder. I'm reading from Dr. Marik's articles there. For less than $1 a serving. But here in America, now that they know it's sort of something that works, I saw it was up to $555 a serving. And all it is a deworming drug.
Well, there should be generics then. It should be off patent. There should be generics available.
It's off patent, but you know their tricks. And they tweak one molecule. one molecule on it, and they refile it, and they eliminate the other one. So Teva Pharmaceuticals used to make this thing in America. Now they don't. I think they canceled that in 2011. But they've done studies on, I think the study they looked at was they were treating mice and trying to figure out how to cure cancer, so they would inject the mice with cancer. But the mice they were trying to give cancer to, the ones that had the deworming medicine, just, to make them be healthy mice that you could test, they couldn't accept the cancer. They would reject it.
Interesting. I'll have to go do some research.
That's it. And the other day you mentioned some thoughts about an individual that had cancer. This is the type of stuff, it's just like ivermectin back in the day. You just start taking it. There's very little side effects, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't hurt to help. It doesn't hurt, right, to help try that.
Got it. All right. Good stuff.
That's it for me.
All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Wisconsin. Scott, welcome.
Yeah, hi Kevin. How you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind?
Every time I have ever seemed to turn on, you're talking about this new toothpaste regimen thing. I've always caught it like partway in, so I don't think I know the name and what to look for in the store.
Okay.
Which I should be using for water use. What protocol?
Yeah, so it's an entire system. It's not just toothpaste. We found a company called Primal Life. So if you go to our website, hit the search button, type in Primal Life, you'll see all the products we carry. So there is a dental detox kit that we recommend starting with. So it comes with the proper toothbrush, just a nice, simple bamboo soft bristle toothbrush, which is what everybody should be using, something soft and simple like this. 2 tooth powders. One you use in the morning, one you use at night. One is charcoal, and it's for deep cleaning and detox. The other one is remineralizing. There's a tongue scraper. There are some gum drops, they call them, some really healthy oils for our gums. So it's a whole system. Use the brush, the tooth powders. You have a morning routine. You have a night routine. Use the gum drops, the tongue scraper. The idea is that what we're really trying to accomplish in our mouth is not necessarily cleaning. Brushing our teeth isn't all that important, like we've been taught. What is important, and the reason we know that there were, indigenous hunter-gatherer tribes that had perfect teeth, and yet they never used a toothbrush in their life or toothpaste of any kind. So that isn't the critical part. The critical part is the bacteria in our mouth gets so out of whack because of the foods we eat and then the products we use that are designed to kill all the bacteria. So when you kill all the bacteria, immediately bacteria starts coming back, but it tends to favor the bad bacteria. So we have this constant battle of bad bacteria that causes gum disease, cavities, and bad breath. Like everything we're trying to fix in our mouth, all these products are making it worse, not better. That's why you have to keep taking them day after day after day.
As usual, right?
Yeah, as usual, exactly. It's just here we go again. Now it turns out the thing that got my attention, this woman swears and she's proven it. Now I absolutely believe her, that the human body can heal cavities, and it should heal cavities. We shouldn't have them.
That's amazing.
Just like our body can repair a bone, you break a bone completely in half, and what does it do? It fuses itself back together. Well, why does it? Our teeth
never really
are.
thought of it that way, right?
I didn't either. Our teeth are very, very similar to our bones. Why don't they heal? They would. They can, except our mouth bacteria is so disrupted that it doesn't happen. But under the system, your cavities actually start healing themselves.
All right. Well, with the feedback I was hearing from, I think, you and the other callers, I always got in the truck, and it was partway through, and I just never had gone back to the rest of the episodes. I'll just call Kevin and get some more information on it. So I'll go to Primal Life and get the detox kit, and we'll give that a try. But sounds like everyone's having great responses to it.
Yeah, make sure you go to our website to get it. Just search for Primal Life once you get to our website.
I will always go to yours.
And then after you have the kit, then we just sell the replacement stuff. Like you can buy new tooth powder, new gum drops, that kind of stuff. But you get the kit to start and then just replace things.
How long does one kit usually last?
They actually put a number, and the tooth powders come in these really small containers in the kit. I didn't even get half as many uses as what they claimed. I must have been putting way too much powder. And now I just buy it in the bigger tub because those little ones go fast for me. I mean, I think I made it less than a month.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to try it. Just like the Cardio Miracle and other things, can't wait to try them.
Yeah, this one is pretty spectacular. I was a little skeptical. I was very skeptical at first. I am blown away. This has been one of the most popular products we've brought in. The feedback and testimonials on this stuff is just over the top. Let's go to North Carolina. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Good morning. I love the show. I just had a nail in my tire last night and called a tire guy, and he came out and he said it was too close to the thing and couldn't repair it. So I replaced them with two new tires on the one side, but I didn't want to put it. I have 13.
Uh-oh. What happened? That call just disappeared. Daniel just dropped out of the ether there. Let's grab another one. Let's go to New Hampshire. Eric, welcome.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for all your content. I just have a couple questions for you. I'm kind of new to the business as far as running freight over the road. My question to you is, right now I'm running rails, which is okay as far as the rates and stuff like that go. I keep track with your software as far as my numbers and stuff like that. I was just wondering if you follow the trends in the market as far as moving out of rail and go a little further. The problem I'm running into is rail is very spotty right now, and I would like to go where the work is to improve my business. Is this something you recommend, or kind of wait until the market settles down?
No and no. No, there isn't something I recommend, but no, I don't recommend just sitting back and waiting. I would be actively... The reason it's hard for me to answer a question like this is because I don't think that the freight or the trailer is all that important. Every commodity, every trailer type is going to have its ups and downs. Now, there is a strategy for a lot of people. If it's possible for you to own multiple types of trailers, that's not a bad way to go. I've seen people that have been really successful at that. But I'm not a huge fan of jumping segments just because ours slowed down. There's a lot of other things you should be considering. One thing I would ask you, of all the trucking segments that are available, what's the one that either intrigues or excites you the most? Forget about money. What would you rather do?
Regardless of money, as far as I can do, my history is I've had my CDL for 30 years, and my history is doing heavy haul. I retired from that job and hopped into doing what I'm doing now. So I would say either flatbed, dry van. My goal is to keep it interesting for me. I'd like to go further, like throughout the country, just see parts of the country. My kids are older.
Yeah, okay.
It's something I've always wanted to do.
So again, I would keep thinking I wouldn't base this on money. Money changes, rates change constantly, things get slow, then they pick back up. So if you couldn't make money in a particular segment, then that segment wouldn't exist. So you can make money doing anything. So I don't,
Gotcha.
I tend to look at, so for me, for example, I've done a lot of different things in trucking. If I were to go back to trucking today, you know what I would want to haul? Big boats.
What's that?
I would specialize in big boats. I think it would be fun. I'd be near the water a lot. I love boats. It's different. It's challenging. That's how I would approach this. Not so much which segment is hot right now.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of where I'm at, the same, like where big boats would be exciting for you. What I'm doing, everything's exciting for me right now. You know what I mean? Because it's all new. It's something different. I was stuck in the Northeast just running, one state. So everything's exciting for me right now. I don't want to ruin my business model by moving.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying. If you're going to make a change like this, make it based on your preferences, not just the money. We can make money in any segment, and we can lose money in any segment, no matter how hot it is. So I tend not to base my decisions on that. But so when you talk about, it sounds to me like you're enjoying the longer travel and seeing more places. I'd stick with dry van for right now then. Hell, with a dry van, I can get everywhere in this country. Everybody needs something delivered with a van. There's no place I wouldn't go. So if that's the kind of thing, we want to have more options, more places to drive, then really dry van's your best bet.
All right. And what would be your suggestion as far as leasing on in my situation? I could go out and get another trailer right now, but leasing on in this market, would you say is a better where I'm newer at it instead of trying to play the spot market, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Use somebody else just to try to mitigate a little risk.
Yeah, and for somebody like you that's got so much experience, you're intelligent, you know what you're doing. Even though you're leased on, I would look for something like Landstar or Schneider's Choice program. They're pretty much identical. You kind of do your own thing. You don't have a dispatcher who's always trying to keep you loaded. You just use the boards and the agents, and you decide what you want to do and when you want to do it. Those two programs are about as close as you're going to get to having your own authority without having your own authority.
All right, perfect. Now, one other thing is I'm trying to follow your program, and I listen to Larry Long a lot, his website. I've learned a lot from all you guys. As far as like the oil samples, I hear a lot of people talking about the oil samples. I don't use Polaris. I do have an account with them. I went through them. I just didn't know what oil sample to choose. They have 9 million of them, you know what I mean, across the top of the board. And so I called and talked to one of their engineers, and it was almost like he was speaking Greek to me. So what oil, I do it through it's a Blackstone company. So I do get it tested. I just don't feel they test enough.
I've seen Blackstone samples. They're not bad. I'm a big fan of Polaris. That's why we partnered with Polaris more than 2 decades ago and continue today. And you can get the oil sample kit from us, right, from our website. So we only carry one. There's just one oil sample we need on the truck. It's just one. You buy the kit, you fill the bottle, you fill out the paperwork, you ship it back, and they're testing everything we need. We've been using them for decades. So I look at samples from other labs all the time. We even double check labs by pulling one sample and splitting it and sending it to 2 different labs. For the most part, all the other labs I've found are pretty darn accurate, with one exception. There are still labs that struggle with fuel dilution because the equipment needed to analyze fuel dilution today, because we have so many different fuels now with biofuels and blends, and Polaris, I believe, is the leader in detecting fuel dilution.
Okay. And I didn't know I could get that right in your store. That's good to know.
Yep.
And I heard you guys talking about fuel dilution. So what I did was the last oil sample I sent out, I sent them a little note. I'm like, hey, can you guys check fuel dilution? And that will tell me if they're doing it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're doing it. Every lab does. The problem is some of them, their equipment isn't sensitive enough to test some of these biofuels. So we get some incorrect readings on fuel dilution. Now, there's another way we can check fuel dilution, and that's viscosity. As we get more fuel in the oil, the viscosity goes down. So what we need to know is what should be the viscosity on the type of oil we're using. For example, if we're using a standard 1540 Rotella like we've always used forever, your number for viscosity should be between 14 and 15. On the other hand, if we're using a full synthetic 30 weight, your viscosity might be 11. A big, big difference. Now, once we know what the base viscosity was, then let's say it should be 11.5 because it's a full synthetic. If it's 10 and they're saying there's no fuel dilution, there probably is fuel dilution. They just weren't able to catch it.
Okay. Right, okay. Because I that's what I run, is a Rotella 1540, and I run the semi-synthetic. I think it's T5. And I know they tested the viscosity, and I was changing it at 10. He said I could go to 15 as far as what the oil sample read. So I've been doing it at 15. Viscosity's been good.
Changing at 10,000?
Yes.
What engine is this in what year?
Cat C15. It's an 04.
You shouldn't even be sampling till 25,000. My God, and
okay.
anybody from an oil lab that said, well, 10's a little early, go to 15. My God, where have they been sleeping for the last 40 years? We blew past 15,000 mile oil samples a long time ago. Do you realize most of the new trucks coming out today, the standard is 75,000 now on a new truck?
Like I said, I've been doing it every 15, and to me, I was putting in a little bit better oil because I have the ability to do it myself. I'm close to home.
Yeah, good.
So it saves me a little bit of money, but I'm like, the amount of miles we put on these things.
We're going to save you a whole bunch of money. Stop changing at 15, start sampling at 25, and then don't change it till the sample tells us to.
Okay. Oh, that's great to know.
And if you want to turn that 25,000 into probably 150,000 mile oil changes on the C15, just put the OPS on the bypass filter. And then we're still going to sample.
Go ahead. You broke up a little bit.
Yeah, with the bypass oil filter, the OPS, we sell it in our store. Pittsburgh Power sells it and installs it. Pittsburgh Power owns it now. We've been working with OPS since 2000, 20 some years. Pittsburgh Power owns that company now. With that filter, you will typically average about 100 to 150,000 miles between changes on that engine.
Wow. That's unreal.
That's a big savings.
That would save a ton of money. Now, big time. Now, do you recommend that? Now, this, like I said, it's a Cat C1504 with 1.25 on it. You recommend that length is provided they're not seeing anything funky in the...
We always go by the sample. I'm giving you averages, what I think the truck will go, but we always go by a sample. So with the OPS, every 25,000 miles, you're going to take a sample and spin a new filter on the OPS. And then we look at the sample, and if there's nothing wrong with it, we just keep going. I have examples.
Wow.
I have examples, several examples of trucks that have gone over 500,000 miles on the same oil.
That's crazy.
Those are rare, but it does happen, and we're going based on the condition of the oil. The first truck I ever put a bypass filter on, and it wasn't the OPS in the beginning. I put the Harvard filter on this truck the first time, this back in 95. Then later on in the life of that truck, I did switch to the OPS towards the very end. That truck went 1.2 million miles with 4 oil changes.
Wow. And that is quite a bit of savings, especially if I choose to go a little further. I'm not going to be able to do these at home. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be able to do these myself.
Right.
Most likely you're going to have to do it out on the road. So that is a big savings. Now, as far as that goes, when you're out on the road pulling those samples, how do guys go about doing that?
It's really easy on the OPS, especially because right next to the filter is a little button. You stick the bottle under there and press the button, and it fills up the bottle for you. Gotcha.
Oh, great. That was one of my first upgrades is going to be putting in the OPS. So
yeah, it's big.
To me, that was a no-brainer, because like I said, I was doing it every 15.
Yeah, which is really, really, you're making the oil companies rich.
All right. Well, I appreciate all the information, Kevin. Again, thanks for the content, and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. All right. Herschel's back. Herschel, what's up?
Hey, Kevin. That guy that followed me that does the bucket work, I did not catch his name.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, I did, but I don't remember names once I hang up on somebody. Sometimes I don't remember them when I'm talking to people, but...
Okay, well, if you're still listening, bucket guy, 740-253-1012, if you want to give me a call.
There you go. We'll make some connections.
I found this kind of odd. I was considering in the winter, because intermodal got crazy slow, I was considering jumping to Landstar. I was talking to a buddy that's part of the tribe, and he said something I didn't know.
What's that?
I've been driving these things I've been driving trucks for 35 years. 25 of them has been kind of regional, multi-state, but not OTR.
Right. Right.
Landstar will not take me because I do not have 1 year OTR in the last 4 years, so they wouldn't take me.
Now, wait a second.
35 years.
Hold on. I want to be clear about something. Are you saying they would not take you because he said that, or because you applied and they turned you down?
It says it right on their website.
Don't take it. Look,
OTR in the last 48.
Look, what does
on the website?
What does OTR even mean? I don't know what that definition means. When I lived in Ohio, I did a lot of what you did, multi-state regional. I would have never in my wildest dreams thought somebody wouldn't hire me because I didn't have over-the-road experience. That's over the road.
I know several guys that work over there.
I'd go apply.
That's what they said.
I'd go apply.
I haven't done that. I haven't done that yet. Because now things have picked up. So.
And here's the other thing to think about. Just because companies have policies don't mean they don't break them.
Depends on the company.
Or the person you're dealing with. Now, there truly are corporations that have ironclad rules. They don't break them. I've found that, especially this one, this isn't like you have a reckless on your driver's license or something. That's pretty cut and dried. I want somebody to tell me what the definition of over the road is. What is their definition for hiring?
Well, maybe I'll call them and see what they say, and I'll let you know later.
Yeah, I'd love to hear their explanation if they won't hire you, because let's think about this as well. It's not like you are only doing local work in Southern California or Phoenix, or you're in Ohio. You're traveling multi-states. You're dealing with weather issues, winter. What about your operation would tell somebody you don't have enough experience? Come on.
Well, I agree, but that's what some guys that actually work there told me.
No, I know I would
backed up by their website.
But I would never stop there. I would never stop there. I would go apply, and then I would have them explain it to me, and I would try to convince them that they should hire me.
Well, I'll check it out. I'll give them a call, see what they say.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Okay. All right, Bob. See ya.
All right. Thanks for the call. We're going to wrap this up today. I've got a lot I need to go work on. Got a lot of good stuff happening. So we'll see you back here tomorrow for the Power Hour. We've got a special guest on Wednesday from Light Balance. We may have some new stuff to announce possibly on Wednesday. Can't tell you what's going to happen with Spaces this week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because I'm still fighting with the technical issue. I got a new phone that's going to help, but I got it over the weekend and I didn't feel like playing with it. So I'm going to go work on some technology issues right now and try to get ahead of this. So we'll see you back here tomorrow. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.